Open your eyes and look around. Open your eyes. Do you see the very things that you read about coming true? Don't you realize the moments are near? Correct yourself in your affairs. He has made it crystal clear. These are the signs of the time.
Assalamu alaikum. Sunnahfollowers, new class, stay tuned.
Signs of the times.
Ina alhamdulillah, wa salat, wa salam ala wa rasulullah. I want to welcome everybody to our series entitled The Signs of the Last Hour. And the last time that we met for this class, we discussed the war against Islam. And we established that that war has already begun. It's been going on since the Bush regime, really. And it's based on the hadith, whereas the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said the major fitna that will impact the whole ummah will begin in the countries in the east. The countries in the east, which are Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, Bosnia, all those, that part of the world in which all of this war, has been going on since the Bush regime. And then he said it will continue to spread. Okay, and it spread it out throughout Africa. It's been going on in Africa for a long time too, and up until today too. And now we have the war in Jerusalem and Gaza and all of that. And then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, once it spreads through the east, then it will make its way through the west. And how will it make its way through the west? It will be when the nations will come, 80 nations will come together, each nation having their own flag, and they will decide to just declare war against all the Muslim lands. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said this will happen because Allah willed it, of course. And why would Allah will war? Because the companions asked that. Why would Allah will that there'd be a war against Islam? He said, the Prophet said, because the Muslims who are living at that time on earth are not like you. They're not like me. They will have deviated away from the traditional Islam. And he started listing the different signs. He said, if you live to see all of these signs happening simultaneously, know that war is near. And of course, the division, how we will divide into different sects, different groups, each one claiming to believe in the same thing, but we don't. And all those sects will be in hell. The only one that won't will be the few that stick to the traditional Islam, which is happening. He talked about how the truth will disappear amongst this nation. We won't be able to trust each other. We won't be able to trust our children, being places. Women will take on the roles of men. Men will take on the role of women. Homosexuality amongst this nation will be abundant. Fornication, adultery, marriage will decline. Divorce will increase. All of these different signs. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, they'll be happening simultaneously. Drugs, this nation will be indulging in drugs, intoxicants, alcohol, music, playing music. Muslim women will be earning their living from singing. And by the way, all of those hadiths where the Prophet speaks about those different signs happening and happening simultaneously, a lot of Muslim thinks that those are the people in general. No, the Prophet said, no, this will not be the Kafirs doing these things. It'll be my people, the Muslims. People calling themselves Muslims doing these things, killing each other. A father will kill his son. A son will kill his father. Children will end up a woman will end up giving birth to her children. They'll end up being guardians over her. All of that is happening simultaneously, and much more. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told the companions, if you should live to see all these things happening, know that whenever, why Allah sends the war? Whenever we violate his laws, whenever we replace his laws with the laws of man, whenever we totally disregard him, Allah, he said, expect for Allah to send war, expect for Allah to send earthquakes, expect for Allah to send tornadoes and hurricanes and hail from the sky, and expect there to be eclipses, solar eclipses, and all of that, which is happening. Okay. He also said the time will pass quickly, which is doing the weathers. A person will experience all 4 seasons in one day. That's already happening, especially here where I live. So subhanAllah, all of those signs are here. Okay, including the beginning of the war. And then we talked about how the prophet said when this happens, when the war happens, the war will last for 5 years. When that war is declared against Muslims and Islam in general, that war will last for 5 years. He said there will be no place on this planet that will not be experiencing death and degradation and all of that. So what's happening over there in Gaza, what's happening in Africa that we see, on the news, it's going to be happening right here in America, right there in Europe, right there in Australia. There will be no place on this continent that won't be experiencing it. And then he talked about why Allah sends war. Allah sends war to cleanse the earth of corrupt, bad people. Because that's what this nation will have become, he said. We will not be like those companions. We will not be following the Sunnah. The companions will become replaced. Remember that hadith we spoke about last week? They will be replaced by his people, the Persians. Instead of the people understanding Islam the way those original companions did, we will either replace their understanding like we have done, the 4 imams, the methabs, the students of those 4 imams. They established those schools and they've replaced the companions' understanding of fiqh with that imam's understanding. They've replaced the companions' understanding of the religion with Ibn Taymiyyah. He was also Persian. They replaced the companions' understanding of Islam with Ibn Qayyim and all of them. May Allah bless all these men. These were great men. Ibn Taymiyyah, Ibn Qayyim, the 4 imams. They tried to keep the sunnah of the companions and the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam alive. But what happens whenever great people die? People begin to worship them, or they patronize them, or they end up establishing schools based on their thoughts. And that's what's become. That was that hadith we went over. So because the companions, the sunnah has become forgotten. The sunnah has become abandoned. The sunnah has become replaced with the ideas of man, ideology of mankind, the laws of Allah, as we spoke about in our 6 o'clock class. Allah is clear. Allah says it's permissible for us to eat the meat of the Christians. It's permissible for us to eat the meat of the Jews. And nowhere does he say that we have to investigate to see how the meat was killed. Nor does he say we have to investigate to see if it's contaminated. Because guess what? One of the regulations for us is we can't eat raw meat. And that came up earlier about this contamination. Don't you guys know whenever you cook meat, that kills whatever contaminants are there? That kills whatever contaminants are there. So it don't matter if it was contaminated with something that's not lawful. Once you cook it, Guess what? The Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that the fire purifies what goes over it. Subhanallah, just like the earth, the dirt purifies whatever walks over it. So the hikmah, the wisdom of Allah, we can't try to compete with him. We just have to learn to submit. We just have to simply say, oh Allah, I hear you, I obey you, I submit, just like those companions did. The prophet didn't tell them to go ask was their meat contaminated. The prophet didn't tell them to go ask, did you kill this animal before you converted? He said, say Bismillah and eat it, call it a day. The companions didn't say but, because for every but you say, it just puts you further and further and further and further and further away from submission. And that's what Shaitan wants us to be, to not submit to Allah. Those companions did. Muslims today don't submit. So that's why we're going around telling people it's haram to eat the food of the people of the book when Allah said it ain't. We're telling people it's haram to do this, haram to do that, haram to wear the color red. I got an email today from some twisted person telling me that it's haram for a woman to wear red. I said, oh, really, to myself, and I deleted the email. We have to be so careful, making our own agenda, our own laws, our own rules. Okay? So, subhanallah, we talked about the war against Islam, which is in the making as we speak, and it will last for more than 5, but for 5 years. 5 years after that war begins, that's when Allah will cause the Mahdi to announce who he is. And we answered the question last week. There's some twisted Muslims today who believe that it's based on their distorted ideology that we're supposed. Do I have any moderators? I have moderators on YouTube. Are there any moderators on YouTube? Can y'all take care of that, please?
I'm there.
Okay, take care of that. Okay, so we talked about how oh gosh. I forgot what I was gonna say. So I can't stand Shaitan to come in here when I'm trying to do my little thunder. But anyway, subhanallah, we talked about how when the Mahdi comes, y'all pay attention to what's going on there, please, and take care of these people because it's distracting me. But anyway, and he's not taken care of. Y'all ain't dealing with him. Can y'all see him? Y'all don't see him? Nobody sees that man on that's typing that?
Yeah, he shows she pushed the wrong button. I got him.
Okay. All right, because he's distracting me making that stuff pop up on my streaming program. But anyway, so we talked about how the Mahdi will come. And there are some Muslims who believe that it's their job. It's their job, our job, to go out and look for him. It's our job to try to figure out who the Mahdi is and wake him up. It's our job to pave the way for him. And we put to rest this misconception with the authentic hadith where the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, Allah will establish the Mahdi. Allah will establish him in one night. So, Allah doesn't need your help. Allah doesn't need your support. Allah doesn't need anything from us. Allah does what he wants to do. Okay? And he doesn't need you to do anything except submit. And he don't need you to submit either. Because if you don't submit, he's just going to punish you. So the Mahdi will announce who he is. We talked about how he will be from the family of... Okay, y'all on there? Are y'all on there? Y'all taking care? I want all eyes on YouTube. And y'all deal with all of them. They're going to come in one by one. One by one. Okay, so anyway, the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said he will be from the family of the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He will have the same name as him. He even described how he looked, and he will announce who he is to the world. Just when the war is at its worst, when the people are dying and the land is destroyed from all the bombs, the atomic bombs and crap that's going on, he will announce who he is from Mecca. He will be from Mecca, and he will make Hajj and announce during his Hajj that he is the Mahdi. And then he will meet with the Christian countries, those 80 nations who declared the war. He will meet with them. He will talk with them. They will be so impressed by him, his intelligence, his compassion, his empathy, and his proof, that they will realize that the person who was the problem all these years was Israel. And that's when the Christian countries will end up going into a peace treaty with the Mahdi. And together, they will fight. They will fight against Israel. Okay? And that's what we talked about last week. And by the way, let me reiterate here too. When the Mahdi does arrive and announce who he is, he's not going to have that much support. We talked about that. He's support from the Muslims. The Muslims are not going to support him. Okay? There will only be 70,000. There's one hadith that says only 70,000 people. 70,000 Muslims will come to support him. All the people of Mecca, all the people of Medina, and the rest of the believers on earth will go to Mecca. And they will number, some hadith say, no more than 70,000. And they will pledge their allegiance to him. So he's outnumbered, just like the Muslims always were in every battle we fought. But what happens here, what will bring victory here through the help and mercy of Allah, is that Allah will cause those Christian countries to see the era of Israel. And they will join with the Mahdi and the Muslims, and together they will destroy Israel. And while this is happening, that's when the next two of the greater signs of the last hour will appear. One being the Antichrist, and the other being Jesus, alayhi salam. And that's what we're going to speak about today. The emergence of the Antichrist and Jesus, alayhi salam. And so you're going to have all these major events happening at the same time for a minute. The war against Islam, the Mahdi, Jesus, and the Antichrist. All four of them together at the same time for a minute. Okay, and let's talk about that. So let me put the PowerPoint up on the screen so everyone can see. Yeah, that's what happens. You can always tell when you're learning the true Islam, because Shaitan doesn't like the truth to be put out. So he sends his awliya, his allies. Shaitan has his helpers and his allies amongst mankind too. The devils of mankind, they always come into these type of classes. Whenever I teach about the last hour, I always get the shayateen that come in my streams. They don't want y'all to know the truth. They want y'all to sit around hating Allah, blaming Allah for the war and all that nonsense, and not accepting the qadr of Allah. They don't want y'all to know the truth. So it happens. I mean, I'm used to it every time I teach this series. Oh yeah, it happens. Okay, let me put the PowerPoint here. Let me show you guys this screen while I go to the PowerPoint. Uh-oh, this is my website. Okay. Yeah, one of the sisters says she remembered when I taught this class before, the same thing. Yeah, it happens. Shaitan is real, man. He don't want the truth to be out there. He don't want y'all learning the truth. hold on for a second. Let me set this again. Okay, it was this one, right? Yeah, that one. Okay, and now let me, okay. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on, I got a problem. This is this old PowerPoint, okay, that I'm using. It doesn't work with this stream. So I got to do it this way. Hold on. Okay, now, inshallah, now you guys can see. Let me make it larger. And let me go. This is my old PowerPoint. Yeah, I've been teaching this stuff for years. Okay, let's see if it'll work. Click. There it is. Okay, so tonight we're going to discuss the arrival of the Antichrist and Jesus, alayhi salam. And listen to this hadith. The Prophet, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, said just before the hour, there will be many liars. Be on your guard against them. He also said the hour will not come until nearly 30 liars appear, and each one will claim to be a prophet from Allah or a messenger from Allah. And y'all know that we've had so many people claim to be messengers from Allah. Okay. Also, the Prophet said, when this happens, wealth will increase, which it has. The Gulf is the richest part of the world now. Also, trials and tribulations will appear, which it has. The war, we got hurricanes and all that other stuff. And also murder will increase. Killing.
Sister Layla.
Yes.
It's frozen on Zoom, but we can see it on YouTube.
Okay, hold on. Okay, let me try it again. Can y'all still see it on YouTube now? Okay. And here, okay, it says murder will increase. And when he talked about murder increasing and wealth increasing and trials happening, he's not talking about these things impacting the Kafirs. He's talking about our nation. We will become rich, which we have. Okay. We will kill each other, which we are doing. Okay. We will have a lot of earthquakes, like I said, and hurricanes. Look where that stuff is happening in the Muslim lands. Even in the non-Muslim countries is where the Muslims are prevalent at. When we had that earthquake here in America a couple of months ago, it hit the East Coast. You know what parts of the East Coast it hit? Parts where there were a lot of Muslims, where there's a lot of Islamic communities. That's a sign from Allah. Hello, y'all better wake up. Okay. Oh, I hit that one wrong. Also, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, when all of this happens, let me see if I can get that last hadith that it did that too. I want y'all to see that last one. Oh, it won't let me do it. Hold on. Oh, now I hit the wrong button for real. Okay, let's see if I can get that last one. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, when you live to see that happen, that's when you know that the time of the Antichrist is near too. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and I think there it is. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, when the Antichrist does come, there will be years of confusion. So this hadith here lets you know that the Antichrist won't be here for no one day. It'll be years. Years of confusion. People will believe the liars, and they will not believe the people who are truthful. That's today. You follow the innovators. You follow the people that teach Islam the wrong way. But for those of us who are teaching you based on the Quran and the Sunnah, you don't like us. You don't want to listen to Layla Nashiba, because I'm not teaching from some fatwa of some imam. I'm teaching directly from the authentic hadith. That's why I use PowerPoint. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the people will distrust those who are truthful. Okay, and the Ruwaybida, this is my hadith, the Ruwaybida will have a lot to say. And again, who are the Ruwaybida? They are the people. Let me see if I can stop this from doing that. Hold on. Let me fix this screen share because I want y'all to see these hadiths. And they're old. So, I mean, my PowerPoint is old. Y'all can see this, right? Let me do it this way. I'm going to do it this way. Okay. Here's the hadith. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said the time of the Antichrist will be years of confusion. People will believe the liar and disbelieve those who are truthful. People will distrust those who are truthful, and they will instead trust the ones who are liars. And the Ruwaybida will have a lot to say about things. And somebody said, who are the Ruwaybida? He said, the Ruwaybida, they are the people who rebel against Allah. And they have a lot to say about the general affairs of the world. Oh, yeah. They got a lot to say about politics. They telling you to go out and vote. They talking all kind of crap. But they don't practice this religion correctly. The women ain't dressed properly. The men don't have beards, or if they got them, they shaving them and trimming them. Okay? They supporting the LBGQ community. They claim that they're fighting for the civil rights of everyone. And they don't even know the pillars of the prayer. They don't pray and all of that. So these are the times, the days, before the Antichrist. These are the days when of the Antichrist too. When he does come, these things will still be going on. Okay. Then we have another hadith where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam stood up to talk to the people. He started off by praising Allah, and then he spoke about the Antichrist. He said, I am warning you against him. And there is no prophet who has not warned his people against him. Even Noah warned his people. But I will tell you something that no other prophet has told his people. He said, I'm going to tell you that the Antichrist will have one eye. And he will claim to be Allah. But Allah does not have one eye. And he will also have written between his eyes, on his forehead, the word kafir, which means unbeliever. Everyone who resents his bad deeds, or in other words, everyone on earth who really believes in Allah, will be able to read the word kafir on his forehead. And by the way, it doesn't matter what language you speak, what part of the world you in. If you are a true believer, you will see it. But nobody else will unless they're a believer. Do y'all understand that? A lot of Muslims think that all Muslims will know who the Antichrist is. This is a lie. Most Muslims will believe that the Antichrist is Allah. Like I told you guys, the Mahdi won't have that many supporters. Remember, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said there will only be a handful of believers on earth. Most of the people that's living on earth calling themselves Muslims will be bad, corrupt people. That's why Allah sends war. Allah sends war to purify the earth of the bad people. That's why I tell you guys, don't get it twisted. You would be foolish to think that every Muslim that's dying in Gaza is a believer. That's not true. You would be foolish to think that every Muslim that's dying in Africa is a believer. You'd be foolish. Okay? Don't get it twisted. Allah sends war to cleanse the earth of bad, corrupt people. That's why we don't go around saying who's a martyr and who isn't. As the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what's the source? Sahih Bukhari. As he told Umar when Umar was walking the battlefield of Uhud, saying, oh, subhanallah, he's a martyr. He's a martyr. The Prophet said, don't do that. That man that you just passed, I see him in hell right now, holding on to the red cloak he stole. He said only Allah knows who the true martyrs are, Umar. Not everybody that fights in a war is fighting for the sake of Allah. And not everyone who dies is dying in the name of Allah. And that's something I want to remind you Muslims of too. We have to be balanced. You would be stupid to think that every Muslim that's dying on this planet is a believer and a martyr. That's not true. Believe it or not, guys, the Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, said there will be more people in hell than paradise. I didn't make this stuff up. This is a law. It's just that I'm telling y'all the truth, because you guys hear every day a lot of brothers telling y'all, which we all should make dua for the believers on earth. But you hear a lot of brothers saying, oh, everybody in Gaza is a martyr. Who said that? If everybody that fought the battle of Uhud was not a martyr, if everybody who fought the battle of Badr was not a martyr, how can you make a comment like that? We have to be careful. There's good and evil. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, whenever we fail to enjoin the good, whenever we fail to forbid the evil, Allah will send war and punish us all. But he will raise us all up individually and judge us. Do y'all think everybody in Gaza was making their prayers? Do y'all think that there's nobody in Gaza who ever fornicated? Do y'all think that there's no one in Gaza that ever believed in magic? Come on, people. Those people ain't better than those people at Badr and Uhud. You Muslims have to wake up. You have to learn your deen. You have to accept that Allah is in charge. Allah says there's cause and effect for everything. Okay? So when the Antichrist comes, the only people that will see the word kafir written on him, and it don't matter what language they speak, will be the few believers on earth. Most people living on earth, even though they claim to be Muslim, are really hypocrites, will really be hypocrites. Okay? Also, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, I know more about the powers that the Antichrist will have than he will know himself. Now, again, guys, when the Antichrist comes, he won't pretend to be a prophet. He won't say, I'm a prophet of Allah. He's going to say he's Allah himself. And believe it or not, the people are going to believe him. And y'all think that's crazy? Look how many of you African-American Muslims believed Elijah Muhammad. Oh, yeah. A lot of y'all say how y'all came into Islam through Elijah Muhammad. I think that's crazy. Personally, how I was living back in his time, but I was a person of the Sunnah. I ain't never been no Elijah Muhammad person. I thought that man was crazy. How could you believe that a spaceship is flying around gonna beam you up and kill all the white people? So you think it's impossible to believe that somebody will say he's God and people believe it? Look how many of you believed Elijah Muhammad. Look how many of you still believe in him. Look how many of you follow his son. His son had that same ideology too. A little twisted, a little different, but it was the same basically. Look how many of you today are following your scholars. You're taking the views of your scholars over the companions. Look how many of you follow the madhabs. You take the 4 imams' opinions over the hadith of Aisha. Aisha said a woman does not break a man's prayer. What's the source? Sahih Bukhari. But you're going to still tell me that you don't accept that hadith because Imam Hanafi said that a woman does, that a woman is like a dog? So how is it that you guys can't believe that a man will, with one eye, will profess to be Allah and everybody will follow him? More people will follow him than not. The same way y'all followed Elijah Muhammad. The same way y'all follow Wallace Dean. The same way y'all follow y'all scholars and sheikh and all this other 12 imams and stuff. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam tells us when the Antichrist comes, he will claim to be Allah himself. The people, most of them, will believe him. And Allah will allow him. Allah will allow him because Allah can do whatever he wills. Just like Allah allowed Iblis to test Prophet Job alayhi salam by taking away from him his wife, his family, his property, and his health. Well, Allah will allow the Antichrist to have 2 things that will appear like miracles. One will be flowing water. He will be able to lift his hand up and water will appear to flow from it. And then the other hand he will lift and Allah will allow him to make it look like he's got fire coming from it. The Prophet said, whoever lives to see this, don't believe what this man says. The hand that he claims to be water, it's not water. It's really fire. So close your eyes and lower your head and drink from the hand that appears to be fire, because that won't be fire. Y'all hear that? But again, even though we're learning this, if you are not a true believer, even if you remember this hadith, but again, belief is in your heart and Allah knows what your heart has. You, just like when we die and we're in our grave, when those angels come to question us and they ask you who your Lord, if you were a hypocrite, even though you know the answer, Allah will make it so you can't say it. Well, the same with this. Even if you know, oh, wow, I remember Sister Layla teaching that. Let me go for the other hand. Ha ha, you won't be able to do it. Only the believers will. And also the Prophet said, again, he'll have one eye. The place where that other eye should have been will be covered by a piece of skin. And on his forehead will be the word kafir. And every believer, whether that believer is illiterate or not, will be able to read it. So don't talk about no Arabic. I don't want to hear that garbage about Arabic being the language of paradise. You ain't got no dalil. Get out of here with that nonsense. Allah does whatever he wants. It don't matter what language you speak. You'll be able to see it because Allah can do whatever he wants. Y'all got that? Okay. Also, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that water will resemble paradise, that fire will resemble hell, but what he calls paradise will really be the hell. And when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told the companions all of this, there was a bad little boy named Ibn Sayyad, who they thought was the Antichrist, because Ibn Sayyad was a little boy. He disrespected his parents. He called himself a person able to see the unseen. He called himself a prophet and all of that too. But in reality, Ibn Sayyad was not, I repeat, he was not the Dajjal. Why? Here's the Dalil. We have the Dalil, and where is this from? This is Sahih Muslim and Muwatta. Sahih Muslim and Muwatta. You got to learn the Muwatta hadiths, because the Muwatta hadiths are from the companions, the Tabi'een. Okay? We have this hadith where when Ibn Sayyad became a grown man, he was traveling from Mecca to Medina, and he was traveling with another companion named Abu Sa'id. And he said, Abu Sa'id, I remember when I was a kid, how the people thought that I was the Antichrist. He said, but look at me now. He said, didn't the prophet say that the Antichrist would not be able to enter Medina? He said, I was born in Medina. He said, didn't the prophet say that the Antichrist would not marry and have kids? He said, I got a lot of children. He said, didn't the prophet say that he would be a kafir? He said, I am a Muslim. I converted to Islam later in life when I grew up out of my stupidity. So for anyone that's thinking that Ibn Sayyad was the Antichrist, this is a lie. He was not. He was a little boy who had problems like many of your sons have. He was a deviant, bad kid. But once he matured, he converted to Islam. He married, he had children, and he was going to make Hajj when he ran into Abu Sa'id. Okay? So Ibn Sayyad, and this is the Dalil, he was not the Antichrist. Also, we have another hadith about the Antichrist. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, I was taking a nap and I had a dream that I was performing the tawaf around the Kaaba. And I saw a ruddy colored man with long hair and water dripping from his head. And I asked the angels I was with, who is that? They said, that's the son of Mary. Then I turned around and saw another man with a large body. He was red in color. He had curly hair and he had one eye. And the other eye looked like a grape. And they said, that's the Antichrist. Okay, all these hadiths are authentic. By the way, you can find them in Bukhari, Muslim, and Muwatta. Okay. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam also described the Antichrist just like he described the Mahdi. He said the Antichrist will be a young man. He will have short, curly hair, and he will have one eye that looks like it's floating because he'll be blind in that eye. He said, whoever amongst you lives to see him should recite the opening verses of the Surah of the Cave. Now, let me talk about this too. Just like when you are in your grave and those angels come to question you, if you did not believe La ilaha illallah, you won't be able to answer. I don't care how you memorized it. Just like no matter how you memorize this hadith, you will not see the word kafir on the forehead of the Antichrist unless you are a true believer. Well, the same with this. There's a lot of Muslims that memorize the whole surah of the cave. It's not going to help you unless your aqidah is correct. If your aqidah is not on point, if your belief system is not the same as those original companions, you can try to recite the Surah of the Cave and it won't come out your throat. Do y'all understand that? And the sad reality is the prophet said when the Antichrist come, most Muslims will be hypocrites who are on earth. They're going to be hypocrites. They'll be following him, believing him. Just like y'all believe these sheikhs and imams over Aisha. Aisha said a woman ain't got to cover her face. A woman ain't got to cover her hands. She can wear any color she wants. She can wear her makeup too. That's what Aisha radiallahu anha said. But you don't want to take her word. You're going to follow your twisted, strict, hard, rigid, women-hating scholars. It's going to be the same then. You're going to think that he is God. You're going to think he's God Allah. Also, the Prophet ﷺ tells us where he will first arrive. He will appear between Syria and Iraq. Remember, all the big trials. The Prophet told us all the major signs will appear in the east. Everything will begin from Syria, Iraq, Jerusalem, that part of the world. Everything, all the fitan that Allah will send to us as a nation will begin in Syria, Iraq, Jerusalem, that part of the world. So he too, just like the wars began in there. Well, he will arrive from between Syria and Iraq, and he will create disaster left and right. He will come to the people professing to be Allah, and he will call the people to a false religion. And here's my dalil. The Prophet said they will believe him. They will respond to him. He will issue a command to the sky. What's the source of all of this? This is all Sahih Muslim, guys. He will issue a command to the sky and say, make it rain. And Allah will allow him that. It will rain. And then he will look at the ground and say, grow crops. Allah will allow that to happen too. Again, this is all Allah's way of testing. Remember, Allah sends trials. Allah sends tribulations. Allah sends war and calamities to not only cleanse the earth of bad people, but also Allah says in the Quran, so you can recognize who the true believers are from your hypocrites. So the true believers living on earth at that time, and it'll only be a few. Like I said, one hadith says 70,000. Allah knows best. But for the believers living on earth, they'll be able to say, wow, I thought you was a believer, and here this brother ain't. Just like we say today, look at these Muslims protesting against the qadr of Allah. Allah sent the war to Gaza. The Zionists had nothing to do with it. This is all written in these hadiths here. This is the war that Allah is talking about in these hadiths. Just like those of us who believe in Allah, we looking in shock at these famous Muslims. I thought he was a scholar. I thought he was a good imam. Boy, this brother twisted. He don't believe in the qadr. It'll be the same thing then. The true believers will say, wow, they all following the Antichrist. They don't see the word kafir on him, but I do. And then the Prophet, this is all Sahih Muslim. The Prophet ﷺ said he will go to another group of people. He will call them to that same false religion of his. But these people will be the believers. There's another hadith too, guys, that says these people will be in Jerusalem. We can say these people will be Ghazians. Okay? They will reject him. They will be of the few believers on earth. They will say, you ain't no God. You're nothing but the Antichrist, because they can see on his forehead. He will get angry because they will be able to see who he is. So he will leave them. But he won't make the earth grow. Allah won't allow him to make the earth grow crops. Allah won't allow him to cause the rain to fall. And then he'll continue on. He will pass through the desert. And he will say to the desert, bring forth your treasure. And all the treasures of the desert will come forth like swarms of bees. Y'all know what that is. What's in the desert over there? That oil. Everybody's fighting for that oil. He will tell that oil to come forth. It will come forth like a swarm of bees. prophecies. Then he will come upon a young man, and he will take a sword and cut this young man in half. And then he will separate the half and put them at the distance between an archer and a target. And he will say, come back to life. And Allah will allow that young man to come back to life. And that young man will come back laughing. And that's when that young man will say, Allah brought me back to life, not you. You are the Antichrist. There's another hadith that says all of this will be occurring in what we call Palestine. This is Jerusalem. This is Jerusalem. This is Palestine. There's another hadith we're going to go over. It speaks about how most of those 70,000 that will be supporting the Mahdi will be from Mecca, because all the believers in Mecca, all the believers in Medina will have supported the Mahdi. Also the believers in Palestine, Jerusalem, they will be there. And then the few believers, it says, the few believers from the rest of the world will make hijrah to Jerusalem to join the Mahdi. Okay? And this is when Allah will send Jesus, alayhi salam. Jesus will come to the earth, hanging on to the white minaret of the mosque in the east of Damascus. All this is in Sahih Muslim. He will be wearing two garments, the color of saffron, and he will be holding on to the wings of two angels. When he lowers his head, the sweat will fall from it. And when he raises his head, the sweat will scatter from it. And every kafir who smells the sweat of Jesus will die. And his breath will reach as far as he can see. And when Jesus lands on ground from that mosque, he will ask, where's the Antichrist? And he will go searching for him. And he will find him at the gate of Jerusalem. This is all Sahih Muslim. And Sahih Muslim says he will be at Lud. L-U-D-D. Do the Google. Google the city, the place called Lud. Lud is the airport. It's the international airport in Jerusalem today. So Jesus, when the Antichrist hears that Jesus has come, the Antichrist will know that Jesus will destroy him. The Mahdi wasn't able to. But the Antichrist knows it will be Jesus. So the Antichrist will try to run. He will be at the airport, the Jerusalem International Airport. Do the Google, L-U-D-D. Jesus will stop him as he's about to board his flight, and Jesus will kill him. Y'all see that? This is all in Sahih Muslim. Like I tell you Muslims, why don't y'all believe in the qadr of Allah? You're freaking out about Gaza. You're freaking out about Gaza. My God, it's talked about right here. This been happening, and Allah said it was going to lead up to this. This is just the beginning. After Jesus, alayhi salam, kills the Antichrist, the prophet goes on to say a people whom Allah has protected will come to him. And you know who those will be? Those are your Palestinians, because they're right there in Jerusalem. They're the ones that didn't believe that the Antichrist was Allah. They will go to Jesus and welcome him, and he will wipe their faces, removing the traces of hardship from them. And he will tell them of the status they will have in paradise. And there's another hadith that says, these will be 70,000. 70,000 from Jerusalem. He will wipe their faces and tell them of the high status that they'll have in paradise for not believing that the Antichrist was Allah. And at that time, Allah will reveal to Jesus, I have brought forth some of my servants whom no one will be able to fight. So take them safely to Atur. And that's where the Mahdi will be at, guys. Because while Jesus is dealing with the Antichrist killing him, the Mahdi will be with his few supporters. Who are his supporters? The believers of Mecca, the believers of Medina. They will be with the Mahdi fighting against those other Zionist Jews who were supporters of the Antichrist. Those 70,000 are the only believers of Gaza, Palestine, who will be with with Jesus. So Allah will tell Jesus, take your 70,000 safely to Atur, and that's where the Mahdi will be. And you guys know what happens then. The Mahdi will be getting ready to lead the people in prayer when Jesus arrives with his soldiers. The Mahdi will stand back so Jesus can lead the prayer. But Jesus will tell the Mahdi, it's not my time yet. You lead the prayer. So the Mahdi will lead the prayer, and what happens after that? The Mahdi will die. The Mahdi will die shortly after that. And that's when Jesus, alayhi salam, will declare to the entire war, I am Jesus, the son of Mary, come back to establish Islam as the religion of the entire world and to establish the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad as the way of life for everyone. And we'll talk about that the next time we meet. And then later on, you know, when we talk about this the next class, you know, after this, the people will all pledge allegiance because the Christians believe in the coming of Jesus too. The Jews know of his coming too. That's when all the United Nations will all stop fighting and they'll all pledge allegiance to Jesus, and they will all convert to Islam. Every person living on earth will be Muslim. There will be no other religion. Islam will be the religion of the entire earth, and Jesus will make Jerusalem, Masjid al-Aqsa, his place of rule. But we'll talk about that because it comes with a cost. Are y'all going to protest it? What's the cost of the Muslims finally having Beit al-Mahdi? What's the cost? The cost is you're going to lose Mecca. The mosque in Mecca will be destroyed. The mosque in Medina will be destroyed. The only thing left standing will be the Kaaba. The people will continue to make Hajj to the Kaaba. So all of this not accepting the qadr of Allah. Yes, we will. Beit al-Mahdi will always be in the hands of the Muslims, but it comes with a cost. Are you brothers, you famous speakers, are y'all going to be protesting with flags when Allah destroys the Prophet's mosque in Mecca? Are you brothers going to be protesting with flags for Medina when he destroys that? Because that's the cost of the Muslims having Masjid al-Aqsa. It's all the qadr of Allah. Allah said that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his people will be rulers until Jesus. Jesus was not Arabic. Jesus was not Arabic. Jesus was not Arabic. He will rule from Jerusalem. So there's no need for the prophet's mosque anymore. There's no need for the mosque in Medina. He wasn't a Quraysh. Jesus is not a Quraysh. So those two mosques will be destroyed. And we'll talk about that the next time we meet. I'll give you all those authentic hadiths from Bukhari and Muslim. All of these hadiths. Bukhari, Muslim, and Muwatta. Accept the qadr of Allah, Muslims. Stop being emotional and crazy. Allah is in control here. Israel will never have Beit el-Maqdi. It's going to be just like it is until Jesus. And then when Jesus rules, that's when Allah will send another fitin. We'll talk about the Gog and the Magog. And then, of course, we're going into more detail about this. Jesus will destroy. He will make dua and destroy the Gog and the Magog. We're going to talk about them. The Gog and the Magog will destroy all the Arabic lands. Poetic justice. Islam began there. It's only fair it ends there. They were the first to abandon it, first to lose it. And we'll go into more detail about that when I do the part on Jesus, okay? So anyway, after Jesus, alayhi salam, defeats the Antichrist, that's when the earth will be told to bring forth its fruit. And that's when all that war, the bombs, the atomic bombs, all that destruction, Allah will cause the earth to grow. Allah will cause the animals to produce. You know, and then we'll go through a few years of peace. Not that many. A few years of peace. And we'll talk more about that in the next class. I'm going to go into detail about what's going to happen during Jesus' rule. But let's end this about the Antichrist. A lot of people ask, how long will the Antichrist be on earth? We already talked about in the Hadith how the prophet said some years. And a lot of people ask, will the Antichrist travel around the entire world? Well, the prophet answered that too. The prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said the Antichrist will pass through every place on earth except for Mecca and Medina. He will not be allowed to enter those two cities because Allah will have angels guarding the gates. And then after the Antichrist comes, Medina will have 3 earthquakes, which will cause all the hypocrites to leave it. And Medina will be cleansed of any hypocrites. And also, Allah will send earthquakes to cause Mecca to be cleansed of every hypocrite. That means the people that die will be hypocrites, the bad Muslims. Those that live, they will leave Mecca. They will leave Medina and they will go to the Mahdi to join him. And Mecca and Medina will become uninhabited. They will become uninhabited. And those 2 mosques will be destroyed. Okay? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that when this occurs, when those earthquakes occurs, the Arabs will be few because most of them will be in Jerusalem. Here's my dalil. They will be in Jerusalem with the Mahdi, while the Mahdi is leading them in prayer. And that's when Jesus will come. And the Mahdi will step back so Jesus can lead the prayer, but Jesus will put his hand on his shoulder and say, no, it's not my time yet. So the Mahdi will lead the people in prayer, and afterwards, Jesus will say, open the gate of Jerusalem now. And the gate will be open, and behind it will be the Antichrist and 1,000 Jews. This is a hadith that y'all asked me about the other day, how when the Antichrist comes, he will come with 1,000 Jews, each one of them with a sword and a shield. But when the Antichrist sees Jesus, He will run away, and Jesus will tell him, you will remain alive until I kill you. And Jesus will chase after him and will meet up with him at the eastern gate of Lud, Ludd, and he will kill him. That's the airport. That's the Jerusalem International Airport. And the Jews will then be destroyed with the help of Allah. There will be no place for them to hide, because the rocks will say, oh, Muslim, here's a Jew, come and kill him. These are the Zionists. We're talking about the Zionist Jews, the Zionists. This is the war against Islam. The Zionists will finally be defeated. They will be defeated upon the arrival of Jesus, alayhi salam. Also, how long will the prophet be here? Here's another hadith. The prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said that the Antichrist will be here like 40 years. But time will pass so quickly that 1 year will be like a half year. 1 year will be like a month. And the rest of his days will go so quickly that if you were at one of the gates of Medina, you would not reach the other gate until evening. In other words, he'll be on this earth for 40 years. So the destruction of the Antichrist will be 40 years. This hadith is Sahih Muslim. But time will pass so quickly, you'll be like 40 years and came and gone. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, as regards to Jesus, he will be a just ruler and he will be the leader of my nation. He will destroy the cross. Why? To establish Islam as the religion. He will kill the pigs. Why? Because everything that Allah made lawful is good and clean. And the Quran replaces every book that came before it. So we can't eat the meat of swine. So that's why he will have all the pigs destroyed, because the world will be living upon the sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad with the understanding of his companions, not the understanding of no imams or no ruwaybida or anyone else. He will not have to collect zakat, because Allah will cause the wealth to come from the earth. What is that? The oil. The oil. All that oil in the Middle East and Africa, all that oil that the Zionists have been fighting to obtain all these years, will now be in the hands of Jesus, alayhi salam. And the entire earth will be Muslim. So, and there will be no poor people. Okay? Hatred will disappear. Why? Because we all believe whoever is living on earth at that time, remember, the war would have destroyed killed the hypocrites. The people living on earth at that time will be sincere Muslims. So there will be no hatred. There will be no jealousy. There will be no plotting and planning and bullying. Even the animals will get along with us to the point that a child can play with a snake without being harmed. A girl can run and make a lion a pet without it harming her. And the earth will be filled with peace. And the people will not argue, because Allah would have cleansed the earth with this war. 40 years, the Antichrist, the earth is cleansed of the filth of the people. Wars will cease. But here the prophet says is the consequence. The authority of the Quraysh will be taken away. Y'all see that? That's when, and we're going to talk about that the next time we meet. That's when the mosque in Mecca and Medina will be destroyed. Mecca and Medina will become uninhabited. Nobody will live there except animals. The only time you will see a person going to Mecca is to make Hajj. The only thing that will still be there is the Kaaba. The mosque is destroyed, But the Kaaba will be there and people will go to make Hajj and that's it. But nobody's going to live there anymore because Jerusalem will become the seat of authority. Jerusalem will become the seat of Jesus, alayhi salam. And also the prophet tells us, this hadith is also Sahih Muslim. He said for 3 years before the Antichrist comes, the people will suffer severe hunger. And the first year, Allah will order the sky to not cause the rain to fall. And he will then order the earth to withhold 2/3 of its fruit. In the third year, he will order the sky to withhold all of its rain and the earth to withhold all of its fruit so that nothing green will grow. So 3 years before the Antichrist, if we all live to see where the entire earth is going through famine, the entire earth is suffering in dystopia, that's when you know that the Antichrist is near. So I'm going to stop right here for today. And these are all the authentic hadiths. There's a lot of other hadiths that speak about the Antichrist, just like there are lots of hadiths that speak about the Mahdi. But I kept what's authentic. Most of everything here you can find in Bukhari and Muslim and Muwatta and all the scholars of hadith. I repeat, all the scholars of hadith, I repeat, all the scholars of hadith will agree with me that none of these hadiths are questionable. And I don't deal with nothing that's doubtful. That ain't Layla. All right? So I'm going to stop right here for today. When we meet Wednesday for this class, I'm going to go into detail about Jesus, alayhi salam, and how he will rule. But I want you Muslims to settle it down. Gaza is already talked about here. You can't stop this. Like Allah told the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the other hadith we went over last week. What's the source? Muslim. He said, I will send war. And if all the people on earth were to come together to stop what I have decreed, O Muhammad, know that they won't be able to raise a finger. I'm in control. You Muslims today got to realize Allah is the one behind everything. Cause and effect. We don't follow the Sunnah no more. We don't know nothing about the companions of the Prophet. We see it, here it is, 2024. Even though Allah is clear about the lawful and the unlawful, I still got Muslims today that want to argue with me and debate with me and tell me that I'm going to hell because I go to McDonald's and buy a hamburger, although I don't eat that. I'm just giving an example. I don't like McDonald's. You know, I don't think their beef is real. You know, I like Wendy's. Where's the beef? I'm all about the real beef. Wendy's. But I'm using McDonald's. You got these crazy Muslims telling y'all that y'all going to hell because you at McDonald's ordering a Big Mac. Who said you can't eat it? Allah said you can. And so that's an example as to why Allah sent the war. You don't understand why there's a war. Look at yourself. Half you women ain't dressed right. You look at you. Your hijabs don't cover your bosom. Where's your abaya? And you brothers, y'all got it going on with the trim. Oh yeah, what you cutting your beard and trimming your beard for? Who you think you are, Lancelot? How many of you go to the mosque to pray, brothers? How many of you brothers work and provide for your families? How many of you brothers making your wives work? How many of you sisters know what your role is as a woman? And you wonder why Allah has sent war. It ain't getting better. It's going to get worse. What you going to do when it hits America? You're going to pick up a flag of America and protest? You're going to protest the White House? You're going to protest against Allah's Qadr? You know, when the war hits here? Get it straight, Muslims. Okay, I'm going to stop right here. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Any questions or comments? Okay, and also, guys, by the way, tomorrow is what, Tuesday? Okay, I got a text message here from one of the sisters. Oh, I forgot about Dr. Ali. Dr. Ali is back, y'all. Let me text him now. The sister is asking me about Dr. Ali's class. I forgot about Dr. Ali. Let me text him. Hold on. Let me find out right quick, sister, if he's not in a, hope he's not in a hospital working. You know, he's a real physician. Hold on. Dr. Dramali, if you listen to me, if you talk to Dr. Ali, he's back because he texts me. But I forgot about his class. Are you doing your class? What time is his class, Awa? What time is Dr. Ali's class? 6. Oh, he's at 6?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. Okay, well, if he's at 6, then I don't have to worry about my class at 6. Who else we got tomorrow? Just him and me?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, I'll let you guys know. I forgot about Dr. Ali's class, but I'll put it up. I'm going to be up for a minute because I got to make some shorts for Brother Mukhtar's class yesterday. But so I'll let you guys know. I'll post it up if he is tomorrow. He might be at the hospital working. You know, he works the emergency room. So I just text him. All right. Okay, and who is this person that sent this? I see somebody sent me a question. Okay, I'm looking at your question now. Hold on. Okay, Sister Layla, the Antichrist. Yes, like what I said, guys, the only people who will be able to see the word kafir on his forehead are the true believers. Oh, yeah, it's going to be bad, guys. I mean, I think it's horrific today. It's disgusting. The way I see these Muslims acting since this war in Gaza, I'm just shaking my head in disgust. So if this is bad, imagine how it's going to be then. Most of the Muslims will be so far away from the true Islam. You know, most Muslims will be so twisted in their understanding and practice of this religion. They're not going to see that. They're going to be on thinking he's God. There's more people in hell. The Prophet ﷺ said, out of every 1,000 people you know, 999 of them are going to be in hell. That's a lot. Most people claim to believe in Allah, but they really don't. That's why a lot of people ask, why does Allah test us? That's why he tests us. That's why Allah sends war. That's why Allah sends earthquakes. That's why he sends COVID. That's why he sends sickness to test us, to see if we really believe in him or not. Like the Prophet ﷺ said in another authentic hadith, Bukhari, he said, faith will manifest itself at the first strike of a hardship. Patience is a component of faith. He said faith consists of, okay, yeah, that's Dr. Ali. He said, unfortunately, he can't. He's tied up at the hospital. I figured that. Okay. Wait a minute. He wants to, hold on.
I have a quick question.
Wait a minute, hold on. Wait a minute. I lost he text on my computer. Wait, let me see. Wait a minute, hold on, for guys. He wants to call me. So let me see what he wants. Okay. Let me turn the sound off if he calls too. Okay, go ahead with your question. He's at the hospital.
Yes, you mentioned that the Antichrist will be ruling for 40 years, and some sources say
Not
that
ruling. He'll travel around the world. He'll be here. Yeah,
he'll be here for 40 years, right? And some like some sources say 40 days. Is that the breakdown of what you just mentioned?
That's what I've tried to explain it. It's all the same hadith, but the time, just like now, the girl, it seemed like just yesterday we was fasting Ramadan. Look how time goes. That's how fast time which will pass. That's how fast time will pass. It'll pass that quickly. Yeah. But this hadith I use, all the hadiths I use today, these are the ones that are authentic. Like I said, there's a lot of hadiths on the Mahdi, a lot of hadiths on, and you know, the Shiites don't do no shake Google. If you Google Antichrist or Mahdi, it's going to take you to ISLAM.org. The Shiites got their own hadiths. They don't believe in Bukhari nor Muslim. Everything I'm giving y'all today is Bukhari and Muslim and Muwatta. I don't deal with nothing that's questionable. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, any other questions?
How are you going to know when it's the right month? How are they going to choose that the Mahdi? You know,
he's not chosen. Allah has chosen him. He's not here yet.
You know how people are going to go behind him and
most people are not going to accept him. That's why I was telling y'all earlier. Most people are not going to, he's going to announce, he's going to go make Hajj. And that's when Allah will inspire him. And then he will announce at the Hajj, I am El Mahdi. But most people, the Arabs won't believe him. They won't accept him. In fact, I'm going to go over those hadiths next week. The Arabs will be fighting over rulership. The Emirates, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Oman, they will all be fighting to be the king to rule over the Arabs. The Mahdi will announce who he is and they won't accept him. It will be the people of Uzbekistan. It will be the people. The Arabs will not accept the Mahdi. They will not believe him. It will be the people of Uzbekistan and Jerusalem. That's why I was telling you those 70,000 from Uzbekistan and Jerusalem that will believe that he's the Mahdi. The Arabs won't. Why y'all think the Gog and Magog is coming to destroy them? Poetic justice. The Arabs will be fighting over who's going to run, who's going to take that oil, who's going to be the new king of Saudi Arabia, who's going to be the king, and who's going to get the palace, who's going to get the oil. The Arabs will be fighting when the Mahdi, and they won't accept him. They'll tell him that you ain't no Mahdi. They'll try to kill him. It'll be the people from Uzbekistan and those Palestinians that will come to his defense. Those Palestinians that refuse to submit to the Antichrist. Yeah. We'll go over those hadiths next week. That's why I told you he's not going to have that many followers. That's why, that's why the Christians will end up, the victory against the Zionists is going to come from the Muslims fighting together with the Christians, because the Muslims won't have the manpower. The Christians will turn and support the Muslims. And we'll talk about that next week. Wednesday, we'll talk about it.
Sister Layla, Miss Jackson said, can you keep doing quizzes, please? It helps her know if she understands or not.
Yeah, I'm going to give y'all a quiz Wednesday, inshallah. Yeah, inshallah.
And then also she said,
How can I make sure I'm not a hypocrite? I worry about this, my intentions often.
Don't worry about that. That's shaitan, doubt. Doubt comes from shaitan. That's what I was telling that other sister earlier. We sit around doubting if the food is contaminated, if I'm really a Muslim. That's shaitan. The prophet said, when you get thoughts like that, say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. That's your personal jinn trying to get you to question your faith. Just say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, and do what you're supposed to do. Continue to do your prayers. Continue to obey Allah. Don't get up in your head like that. That's your jinn. Say, A'udhu billahi, and keep it moving. Yeah. Okay. Okay, any other questions? Okay, yeah. All right, guys. Inshallah, I'm going to log out for right now. Tomorrow we have my 6 o'clock class. And I'm going to give y'all a quiz in that class tomorrow, too. I'll have my 6 o'clock class. And what class is tomorrow, y'all? What's 9 o'clock?
Just enjoying the good, forbidding evil.
Yeah. We ain't done yet. Yeah, because, make sure you guys get the book. That new book from Sheikh Kareem Abu Zayd. I'm almost done with enjoining good and forbidding evil. Let me show y'all the commercial for that. Get this book. Where is that commercial?
The Muqasid Tafsir.
Where should I begin when I'm starting at the end? Pursuing the higher aim, learning the meaning of every page. Where should I begin when I'm starting at the end?
Assalamu alaikum. Sunnahfollowers presents a new class, the Muqasid of Tafsir, being taught and brought to you by Ustada Layla Nashiba. Please stay tuned, streaming on all major platforms, right here on channel Sunnahfollowers.
Okay, so that's the new book. Make sure y'all go to Amazon to buy that book, because I got maybe 3 more classes of enjoying good, and then I'm going to start that book, that Tafsir book. I can't wait to teach that. Yeah, Sister Miss Jackson, the simple fact that you worry about your intentions, that shows you ain't no hypocrite. So don't worry about it. You just say A'udhu billahi and keep it moving. A hypocrite don't care about their intentions. The hypocrite is just a person. A hypocrite is a non-believer. They don't believe in Allah. They're not sincere. The fact that you worry about your intentions, that shows that you are not a hypocrite. Yeah. Alhamdulillah. All right, guys, let me close out because Dr. Ali is getting ready to call me, and I need to see what this is, what we're going to do with the class. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Oh, okay.